Hello, YouTube. This is my review of The Walking Dead Season 4, and short disclaimer, I am a huge zombie lover. I actually have my shirt right now, if here you can read it. And as for The Walking Dead, I'm not just a TV show only fan. I feel like a lot of people who watch the show have never read the books, and um, I do read the books. I all the way back in what was it, 2009? And I've been reading it ever since. And I also play the video game, which I'm a huge fan of. It was my favorite game of 2012. And so what I'm saying is I might be a little biased when it comes to The Walking Dead. I'll try to be as objective as possible, but just to let you know, I am a huge fan, so I might fanboy a little. But anyways, um, Walking Dead Season 4. Um, Not gonna compare too much to the books. Nah. I'll make some comparisons here and there, but I'll try not to make as many comparisons to the book because the TV show it's doing its own thing. Um, The Walking Dead season 4. Now the show itself is a little uneven, I'll admit. Like season 1 was really good. Season 2 was passable, and season 3 was hit or miss. Definitely the second half of season 3 was kind of like here. Season 4, feel like a lot of people are still mixed on season 4. To be honest, I actually really like season 4. Like if you just want the short review, I'm one of the people who liked season 4. Maybe not so much the first half of season 4, but definitely the second half. Okay, so is it perfect? No, no. Is it better than the last two seasons? Yeah, I'll say that. Like I feel like this season is finally getting on track back to how the books are like. And what I mean by this is that uh, the one thing I didn't like about season 3 was that it was very much action paced. Like there were episodes where like very first episode was like pretty much just them like running through zombies, like killing them back and forth. And back half of season 3, there was the battle with the governor like twice or yeah. And there was also that chase scene between Andrea and the governor that was like pulled straight out of like some other horror movie, and that's not actually what the Walking Dead books are like. I'm sorry, I'm bringing the comparison, but the books are pretty are very much focused on like survival and how humans will react in this like end of the world situation. Like the books were never about the zombies. Like in fact, the title "The Walking Dead" actually refers to the people that they're just that even though they're trying to survive, they're gonna end up dead eventually. It's I actually don't like it when people watch this show just to see zombies. Like, yeah, okay, yes, it's a zombie show. That's the main appeal. But the reason why you're supposed to stay is because it's telling these very human stories. Like, these characters who are very relatable um, and once again, the show is never about the zombies. Like, if the show was about the zombies, then there would be subplots about them trying to find a cure, trying to find, like, the source of the virus or the origins. But here, no. It's just about survival. And that you can actually have this kind of story without the zombies. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Um, the reason why I like season 4 more than the last two seasons is because this season actually is kind of going back to that character drivenness of the books. We kind of saw that in the first season. Like the main reason was because the first season was actually pretty close adaptation. Yeah, I know it still veered off course at some bits, but actually a lot of bits. Okay, but the first season, there was definitely a lot of focus on the characters and how they were reacting to the world. Season 2, kinda, but it drew it out. And season 3 was the exact opposite. There was not enough. Here, it was trying to find the balance. And what was very brave of them to do, brave of them to do, okay? Because I don't really know a lot of shows that do this, but they had a lot of episodes that did not feature the whole cast. And in the past, like episodes will actually feature like majority of the cast or like one or two members are gone. Like here, there was a lot of bottle episodes. Like The governor episodes in the first half of season 4, and then season 4, the second half was just like pretty much entirely based on like bottle episodes. And I'm a little mixed on that. Like, on one hand, like, I appreciate them for doing a lot of character development, but at the same time, it's like, you want to know how each and every character is doing, and the fact that they spend a whole episode on one group, it gets a little frustrating, like seeing the same group for like the whole episode. But on the other hand, it's good because you do get a lot of character development. Like, I think the most development that these characters have gotten in this entire show. Now, let me actually like organize my thoughts a little bit better. Let's start with the bad. Okay. um, the bad things about season 4 that I can think of. I actually have my notes here, so if I'm looking this way, it's because I'm looking at my notes. The notes I had for the bad is it was kind of meandering. Like, okay, first half of season 4, it definitely had like a focus, but the second half of season 4, since it is focused on developing the characters, it kind of loses the plot. And the plot of the second half is pretty much everyone finds out about this location called Terminus, and they're trying to get to it. But on the way to Terminus, they go through these like personal journeys, and there's no real like force driving all these groups together. Like okay, for example, first half of season 1, it was definitely focused on like Rick trying to find his family and then trying to get the camp to safety. So the first season you can say is pretty much like Rick's introduction to the zombie apocalypse. The second season was more focused on Rick and Shane's relationship, and it culminated in their final duel. And season 3, definitely Rick versus the governor. So each season, even though there was like a bunch of subplots there here and there, there is definitely like a main focus to the season. Season 4 is kind of unique because the first half and second half are telling two way different stories, which it should, because in the comic books, by the time the prison arc ends, the book becomes completely different. Like, just this, it becomes a whole new, like you're reading a whole new book. So the second half has to feel like a whole new series, and the problem there is that there was no, since the groups are separated, there was no like connecting thing to them besides Terminus. And the problem is we don't know what Terminus is. So the only thing that's driving them is that they want to get there. And that's not enough to have a focused season. Like sorry. At least with the first season, like we had, the character Rick, and we were experiencing like his actions, we were going through his thoughts. And second half, in season 2, we got into Shane's thoughts. Season 3, we got into the governor's thoughts. Second half of season 4, it's just jumbled everywhere, and like it's focused on all these different groups, but none of them is really connecting to each other. It's like it kind of became I'm gonna pull this comparison. It kind of became like Game of Thrones. Like, I love Game of Thrones and all, but even watchers of Game of Thrones, you gotta admit, it's hard to connect these plots together. Like, how does Arya's subplot have to do with Jon Snow's subplot? You know? And I know that they are connected. Trust me, I read the books. I know they're connected, but on the TV show, it's hard to tell how these points are gonna come together. And that's what you kind of get with the second half of season 4 of The Walking Dead. It's hard to connect how these stories are gonna combine. Like, you know that they're gonna combine a terminus, but it's hard to see that as you're going through the episodes. Um, so I spent too much time on that. The another bad note, the first half of season 4, it wasn't so much bad. It was just kind of disappointing. Like, The subplot there was a virus was attacking the prison, and I like that. I like the whole idea of a virus attacking the group. Like that's something that is a real problem when like public hospitals are shut down. Like of course there's gonna be like other outbreaks, and the problem there was that they spent too much time just like trying to find a cure. And I know that's the point of like trying to solve an outbreak. Like you have to find a cure, but I feel like they drew out that subplot a little too long. Like it lasted what, like 5 episodes, when I feel like they could have done it in 3. Like uh or hell, even 4. Like it just went way too long. And also, not just the virus subplot, it's the fact that sorry, that in last season when they introduced the Woodbury survivors, like I thought that was interesting, but when we got to season 4, they didn't really do anything with the Woodbury survivors except use them as okay, let's face it, red shirts. Like they were they were just affected by the virus, and that's it. Like I seriously thought, I had a theory, but like before season 4 started, that there was gonna be a subplot that the Woodbury survivors would not mesh well with the prison survivors, and that there would be like an internal feud. And um, nothing really happened like with the Woodbury survivors. Like they kind of just meshed in with the prisoners, and that was it. And then they just became like red shirts after that. So I feel like there was a lot of wasted opportunity there. Did I like the new characters introduced in the first half of season 4? Yeah, yeah. Like Bob was interesting. Like Bob, the new main character. Like I recognize him as what's his face? The D'Angelo from the Wire. Like The Wire is a really good show too. Watch The Wire, okay? There's a lot of Wire alums on The Walking Dead now. Um, the other two main character, two season 4 characters, Lizzie and Mika, who are Ben and Billy from the books. I thought they were pretty interesting, and the actress playing Lizzie was actually pretty good. As far as child actors go, and everyone else from the new character list, they kind of were just like there. Like Zach. Zach, I know it was played by a recognizable actor, but he was only there for 1 episode. Phineas, the voice actor Phineas from Phineas and Ferb was a character, and he died, and that's kind of how the first half of season 4 felt like. It was like new character, they die, and I know it's a show about zombies and people are gonna die, but at least let us spend time with them, to form like a little bond before you like kill them, you know. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much what the first half of my thoughts on the first half of season 4. Like the virus subplot went on too long, and the new characters, besides the name ones, they were kind of just like there. Another bad point I had was Rick was injured way too long. I mean, not much to say there, but there was a lot of episodes of him just like recovering. This is the second half of season 4. Like, I know he's hurt, okay, but even in the books, they didn't spend too much time with Rick being injured. Like, I know, I think after the episode, after, the Carl episode, I feel like he should have just been, like, good. Okay, he's good. But in the next episode, it's like he's still kind of recovering, and then, yeah, I just feel like he shouldn't have been 100%, but definitely there was too much of him just like wheezing, in pain. So that's just a nitpick for me. That's not a real complaint. Sorry. Now, an actual complaint I had was the Marauders, led by the guy who played the what was it? Hale? No, not Hale. He was the guy from Sons of Anarchy who was like he hated the Sons, and he was also from New Girl. I forgot the name of the actor. The character Joe, pretty much. I knew, I kind of knew. I had suspicions of who he was from the books, but I was disappointed when I found out who he really was. Like some people were like saying, "Oh, he's Negan from the books," and no, one, that's way too early, and two, he doesn't really look like Negan. Like he could pull it off, I guess, but I was kind of hoping for more. I thought he'd be the Hunters, but it turned out he was the Marauders. And for those of you who don't read the books, the Marauders were this group of survivors who attacked Rick, Carl, and Abraham when they were like on the road. And it was like, on one hand, yeah, I feel like they were necessary to the plot because they did help Rick, expose his animal side, become aggressive. Like he's no longer nice Rick, he's now evil, nasty Rick. And that is what happens in the book, but at the same time, as the main villains of season 4, no, I feel like they wasted the actor. Like he could have he could have been given a different role. Like the Marauders were only in the books for one issue. Like these are the kind of villains that I think should have just been introduced in like one or two episodes and then killed off in the second episode. Like this is the one time I will say that it would have been fine to have a character only last for like 2 episodes, or a group of survivors last for 2 episodes. The actor should have played a more complex character, Like, we really didn't need to spend too much time with the Marauders. I feel like that was kind of wasted. Uh, that's just me. Like, he did fine. The guy's good at playing villains, so I'm not complaining about his acting. It's just I feel like they wasted him for that role. Anyways, that's my final bad note, but that's about something more positive. Like, I feel some positive things already, but here are the things that I have to single out as like the really good parts of season 4. Because, the good is still there. Like, first note, it's still enjoyable. Like, no, okay, for one, yeah, you're still seeing lots of zombie action, killing action. Sorry. And also the zombie killing action has gotten better. Like, it has been improving over the years. Here, there's an episode where Maggie, was it Maggie? Or was it Sasha? Oh, it was Maggie. Maggie used like a signpost to like kill zombies, and then there was like Abraham's like introduction, which was like spot on, perfect. Where it's just him like killing zombies and like having this cocky attitude. It's like, what does he say? It's like I forgot what he says, but it was just like the perfect introduction for him. And like I also really like the sequence with Glenn and Tara in the tunnel. Um, the sequence where what else? Where Michonne just like cuts down a whole group of zombies around her, and also the human versus human action sequences were pretty good. Like we finally got the battle with the governor that we should have had in season 3, and it wasn't as bloody as it was in the books. Just trust me, like in the books, half the main cast. But I still liked what they did here. Like I always kind of, when I was reading the books, I always kind of wanted to know how this attack would look like in live action form. And seeing, the governor say kill them all, or cut Herschel's head off, or like run the tank across the fence, like that was just, say what you will about the show, but that was a really good sequence. Okay, okay, criticize me all you want, but I thought that was a really well done sequence, and pretty much all the action sequences in the season was pretty good. Like it's a step up from like season 2, where Glenn was getting like headshots while like Maggie was driving the car. Like the action sequences make much more sense. Sorry, in this one. Another good note I had here, the cast. The cast is still like, I still really like the cast, especially the new characters. Like I know people have mixed feelings on Bob, but I really like that actor. Like I liked his performance in The Wire, so I like seeing him on the show, and he did play an interesting character. Like he was playing this kind of character that was that he was an alcoholic, and he had these like deep like regrets, but at the same time he doesn't want to be alone. Like he feels guilty. Like he feels guilty about the things he's done in the past, but he doesn't want to like separate himself from people. Like he knows that he needs people, and it's just a really interesting character, especially seeing how like happy he was. Like even though the prison fell, like you don't really get that with the show. Like an optimistic character. Like it's nice to see just someone who's not always glum like most of the characters. Like it's nice to have an optimistic character. Like Glenn used to be that, but no, not really anymore. Um, Lizzie, the Ben of the show, I thought she was pretty good. Like I said, um, I guess I have to address it. The controversial episode, The Grove, um, that kind of played out differently than it did in the books. That was one of the things I was kind of worried about being adapted. Like I wasn't a really big fan of that arc in the books. Like the arc was Ben stabs his brother Billy to death, and the group is like confused, like they don't really know what to do because one he murdered the kid, but at the same time he's still a child. But it did lead to one of my favorite moments in the books where no one wants to do what they have to do, but Carl steps up and shoots Ben. That was actually one of my favorite moments, even though I wasn't a fan of the arc. So in the TV show, it played out pretty much the same, except instead of Carl, it's Carol, and I guess that works. Like I feel like Carol's arc in this whole season was leading up to that moment, but about the Grove in general, like I feel like even though it's one of the more acclaimed episodes, I don't know. I was never really like happy about the Ben and Billy subplot. Um, I feel like the reason why I'm happy about it is because I feel like Ben and Lizzie could have been more interesting on their own right, like if they were allowed to grow as a character. Because I'll give the show this: like Ben in the books wasn't really developed that well. Like you saw hints that he was crazy, but um, when he does kill Billy, it just comes out of nowhere. It's like what? In the TV show, you do see a gradual like growth where Lizzie is slowly losing her grip on um, reality. Like she starts. You see throughout season 4 that she's slowly descending down this hole, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, I feel like I really wish we had more time with this character because really are interesting characters. So it's kind of sad to see them go that fast. Um, but the acting was good, so it's passable. As for the rest of the cast, yeah, the rest of the cast was pretty good still. Um, Not much to say there. I guess. What am I standing? Oh, there's a lot. I can't really pick out a certain actor, but I'll just say the whole cast did pretty good. Um, Another good note. These next three notes are actually combined. And half in general. I know that's a controversial opinion because people are divisive of the second half, but I actually like enjoyed the second half. Okay, it's faulty, of course, but I really like the fact that it's much more character driven. Like it really felt like it felt like I was reading the books. Okay, a lot of comic book readers are probably gonna hate me, but you know that's what The Walking Dead is. It's the character development. It's like people reacting to their environment. And what's the second half of season 4? People in a zombie apocalypse reacting to their environment and talking about their feelings. Like that's the books, okay? And I actually really enjoyed that. Also really enjoyed like these random like group group setups like they set up people that actually never had a conversation, like Daryl and Beth, Maggie, Sasha, and Bob. Um, Glenn and Tara and Abraham's group. Like, I actually really enjoyed the second half of season four because of the fact that they started to take their time with the story and just let these characters grow. And the reason why I like that is even though people might get frustrated with that, it does make the characters harder to kill. What I mean by that is, even though the show is like anything goes, like, what does that mean if you don't like the characters? The fact that they took their time to make us like understand these characters more, it makes them harder to kill because sorry, you feel more attached to them, you know? So, start of season 5, we now have a cast where it's hard to say goodbye to anyone. Whereas in the past, it was kind of like, oh, Andrea, okay, if she goes, I'm not really going to complain. Or if Laura goes, I'm not going to complain. Or if T-Dog goes, I'm not going to complain. Here, it's harder to make an argument for a character to leave because you've spent more time with them. You know, does that make sense? Like it's harder to get rid of someone now because we know more about them. And yeah, that goes with my next point. I mean, more character focus. The groups that I really liked in general were um, yeah, Carol. I put Carol and Lizzie. Yeah, I'll say that. Even though I criticized the Grove a little bit, I still liked what they did. Like I feel like Carol and Lizzie, they gave them the actresses a lot of good material, and I feel like they played it off really well. Like when when they got to the point where Carol had to put Lizzie down, it was honestly one of the saddest things I've ever seen. Like I'm not gonna lie. Um, Also, like in general, Carol in general, I feel like she's definitely stepped up now. Like she's definitely stepped up as I guess the new Andrea. And I know that's not supposed to be mean. Like Andrea in the books is supposed to be like the lead female character. Like I feel like with this season, Carol has definitely stepped up to that role. Like I wish we seen her more this season. Like I read on Wikipedia that she's only done like 7 episodes on this season, but I feel like she definitely stepped up this season, and it shows because the preview for season 5 it's about Carol. So the other group that I actually really enjoyed too, and I know a lot of people are going to get angry at me for this. I really enjoyed Daryl and Beth. All right, yes, I will admit I enjoyed the Daryl and Beth shipping. Okay, yes, I know that there's an age difference between them. Yes, I know that they haven't really had that much connection, in the past. Does that mean that they shouldn't get together? No? Well, I like for one, they had good chemistry, and two, that's what they're going for. I mean, it's really, really obvious that they're going for this relationship. I mean, I'm just speculating here, but for one, why would they dedicate a whole episode to Daryl and Beth? Hmm? Two, if you watch the episode alone, the second Daryl Beth episode, don't like if you're one of those people who think that this is like a brother sister relationship, just get out of here. Like it was one of those times where like I feel like even people who don't really understand romance could tell that there was like romantic tension in that episode. And also three, the Daryl and Beth is I feel like is an adaptation of a subplot in the books. They they didn't do this on the show, but Dale and Andrea did get together in the books. I feel like Daryl and Beth is kind of their way to bring that back. Like, okay, like a huge age difference, like blonde woman. Like, I know I'm probably just reaching here, but I feel like Daryl and Beth equals Dale and Andrea. So, yeah, but I really enjoy that pairing. Like I know that's probably controversial, but I enjoy what they did with it. And the two actors they do have really good chemistry. Um, Last note I have here, Terminus. Pretty much goes for the season finale in general. Like I just like how how like this whole season has been building up to this like battle with Terminus, which I'm 100% sure is the Hunters at this the Hunters arc. Um, I just liked how everything just like came together in this finale, like Rick's journey to becoming the ruthless bastard he is in the books. Um, I just like how everything is just like building up to this like confrontation. And does the payoff with Terminus, like, is there a huge payoff to actually finding Terminus? Not really. I mean, that's not saying much. I didn't expect there to be a huge battle, to be honest. Like, I kind of expected the season finale to just be a setup episode, and because I feel like the battle with Terminus is enough material for season 5. Now, do I feel like the season finale set up season 5 well? Yeah, I did. Like they introduced Gareth, the leader of Terminus, and they introduced him as this mysterious leader, and they also at the same time established Rick as the hardcore badass. Like I really liked how they set up everything like well for season 5. Was it season finale worthy? No. But was it but did it set up season 5 well? I will say yes. So let me wrap this up. Overall, even though I did have a lot of negative points, there are still a lot of good things about season 4 of Walking Dead. I feel like it's still enjoyable, and I feel like the show is gonna go up at this point because for one, we're finally gone from the prison arc, and to be honest, the even though the prison arc is one of the most famous like comic book arcs ever, it's looking back on it, I feel like it was written around a time when Robert Kirkman's like writing was still a little, what's the word, childish. Like you can definitely tell that his writing he's matured as a writer over time. So looking back on it, it just felt like it just felt really cartoony, like with the governor and the constant character killing. Like I everything after the prison arc, it does get better. Like it does, like the characters do get more complex, they do get more interesting, and the story itself just becomes more interesting as the books go along. So I do have high hopes for the TV show because this is the part where I feel like in the comic books the story starts to get better. Yeah, I am a little worried when they do get to Alexandria. Like that is the part where the books start to slump a little bit, but at this point, I feel like the show can only go up at this point. All right. So overall, I'd say C plus B minus letter grade for season 4. Um, yeah, not much to say there. I feel like that's a fair assessment. It's not perfect, has a lot of flaws, but I still like it. So hate me all you want, okay? Like I still like The Walking Dead, okay? Do I think it's better than other shows? Like a lot of people will say, "Why do you like The Walking Dead? You should like this other show, like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, whatever." It's like I still like the show, okay? Okay, I still like it. Anyways, yeah, do I like the other shows that people recommend? Yeah, of course, but I still like The Walking Dead. Okay, sue me. Anyways, yeah, done. I'm sorry. B minus C plus.